What if I told you that one of the most popular decorative plants sold in every garden center across America is actually illegal in several states, and growing it could get you fined or even arrested? Today, we're going to reveal 8 common garden plants that can get you in serious legal trouble. Some of these are sold openly in shops right now. Some of them might already be growing in your backyard. And one of them, plant number 6, is going to completely surprise you. So stay with me until the end, because this is one video you do not want to miss. Quick note before we begin. Laws vary by country, state, and region. Always check your local regulations before planting anything in your garden. This video is for educational purposes only. With that said, let's talk about some seriously controversial plants. Let's start with one of the most beautiful and most controversial of plants on this list, the opium poppy. These gorgeous flowers come in shades of pink, white, purple, and red, and they're honestly stunning in a garden. In fact, you've probably seen them before and not even known what they were. But here's the thing. In the United States, the United Kingdom, and most of Europe, growing opium poppies for their sap, a milky white substance found in the seed pod, is strictly illegal without a special agricultural license. That sap contains morphine, codeine, and thebaine, the raw chemical ingredients used to manufacture heroin and other opioid drugs. Now here's the interesting part. The seeds themselves are completely legal. They're the exact same seeds sold in your local grocery store for baking. You've probably eaten them on a bread roll, but growing the plant to maturity and scoring the pods, making that small cut that releases the white latex, that's where the law draws the line. Penalties can be severe. In the US, it falls under the Controlled Substances Act. So as gorgeous as these flowers are, admire them from a distance. Plant number 2 looks like something you'd see trimmed into a neat hedge outside an office building. It's green, leafy, totally unremarkable to look at. This is khat, pronounced kot, and it has one of the most fascinating legal stories of any plant in the world. In East Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, khat has been chewed for centuries. It's deeply woven into the culture of Yemen, Ethiopia, Somalia, and Kenya, used socially the way we might use coffee. Men gather in the afternoon, chew fresh khat leaves, and talk for hours. The active ingredient is cathinone, a naturally occurring stimulant that works similarly to amphetamine. It produces a feeling of alertness, euphoria, and talkativeness. Fresh leaves are most potent. The effect fades within 48 hours of harvesting. But in the United States, khat is a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning it's in the same legal category as heroin. The UK classified it in 2014, causing significant controversy among East African immigrant communities who considered it a harmless cultural tradition. In Germany and France, it's also banned. What makes this particularly striking is that you could walk past a khat plant 100 times and never know what it was. It genuinely looks like any ordinary garden shrub, and that in many ways makes it even more surprising. This one has one of the most dramatic falls from grace in plant history. Meet ephedra, known in Chinese medicine as ma huang, a plant that has been used medicinally for over 5,000 years. It's one of the oldest known medicinal plants on Earth. Ancient Chinese texts reference it for treating asthma, bronchitis, and hay fever. And honestly, it works. The compound ephedrine is a genuinely effective bronchodilator and decongestant. But in the 1990s and early 2000s, ephedra became a staple ingredient in weight loss supplements and athletic performance products. Brands were marketing it as a powerful fat burner and energy booster. And then people started dying. The FDA linked ephedra supplements to hundreds of heart attacks, strokes, and deaths, including the death of a 23-year-old Major League Baseball pitcher in 2003. In 2004, the FDA banned the sale of dietary supplements containing ephedrine alkaloids, the first time the agency had ever banned a supplement ingredient. The plant itself is still technically legal to grow as an ornamental. It looks like a strange, almost alien shrub, thin, jointed green stems with almost no leaves. But growing it with intent to extract ephedrine for manufacturing, that lands you in very serious legal trouble. This is a plant that went from ancient healing herb to banned substance in the span of a single decade. You knew this one was coming. Cannabis. But before you skip ahead thinking you know this story, stay with me, because there are a few things about this plant's legal situation that most people don't know. Cannabis is one of the oldest cultivated plants in human history. Archaeological evidence suggests humans have been growing it for over 12,000 years, for fiber, food, medicine, and yes, for its psychoactive effects. The plant produces hundreds of chemical compounds, including THC, which produces the high, and CBD, which has documented therapeutic uses for epilepsy, anxiety, and chronic pain. Now here's where it gets complicated. In the United States, cannabis remains federally illegal, a Schedule I controlled substance. But roughly half of all U.S. states have legalized recreational use, and the majority allow medical use. This creates one of the strangest legal situations in American history. Something can be perfectly legal in your state and simultaneously a federal crime. But here's the fact that surprises most people. Even industrial hemp, which contains virtually no THC and cannot get anyone high, requires a federal license to grow. Hemp is used to make rope, clothing, paper, biodegradable plastics, and food. It's an extraordinary agricultural crop. And yet, if you plant hemp seeds in your backyard without the proper permits, you are technically breaking federal law. The world's legal relationship with this plant is genuinely one of the most complicated stories in modern history. This next one is probably the most visually dramatic plant on our list, and the story of how it ended up classified as a federal noxious weed is honestly one of the most cautionary tales in agricultural history. This is kudzu, and if you've ever driven through the American South, you have almost certainly seen it without realizing what it was. It's the green, vine-covered shape devouring everything in sight: trees, telephone poles, abandoned cars, entire buildings. Kudzu was introduced to the United States from Japan in 1876, first displayed at the Philadelphia Centennial Exposition as a beautiful ornamental vine. People loved it. In the 1930s and 40s, the U.S. government actually paid farmers to plant it, up to $8 per acre, to control soil erosion during the Dust Bowl era. The Civilian Conservation Corps planted millions of acres of it, and then they realized what they had done. Kudzu grows up to 30 centimeters, that's 1 full foot, every single day in warm weather. It spreads through runners, rhizomes, and vines that can extend over 30 meters. It covers everything it touches, blocking sunlight and killing the plants beneath it. By the 1970s, the USDA had reclassified it as a weed. Today, it covers over 3 million acres across the southeastern United States, and it costs an estimated $500 million per year in lost agricultural productivity. It is now illegal to import or sell kudzu in the United States. Growing it intentionally could expose you to federal penalties. The lesson? Be very, very careful about what you introduce to a new environment. Here it is, plant number 6, the one I promised would surprise you. This is English ivy. And before you say anything, yes, I know, English ivy. The plant that grows on university walls and country cottages. The plant that's in every garden center, every home decor magazine, every hanging basket. That English ivy, it's illegal. In Oregon, it's classified as a Class B noxious weed. In Washington state, it's on the prohibited plants list. And here's the part that makes this so bizarre. It is still actively being sold in some of those very same states. So you can walk into a garden center, buy a pot of English ivy, take it home, and be breaking the law. English ivy was introduced to North America from Europe, where it evolved alongside its native ecosystems in balance. But here, without its natural predators and competitors, it does something extraordinary and devastating. It spreads across the forest floor in a dense carpet, blocking light and killing off native wildflowers and tree seedlings. Then it climbs trees, sometimes growing so heavy that it topples them. It creates what ecologists call ivy deserts, vast stretches of Pacific Northwest forest where nothing else can grow. Birds eat the berries and spread the seeds across miles of wilderness. Entire nature reserves in Portland and Seattle have teams of volunteers who spend every weekend manually removing English ivy by hand. And yet, at any garden center, you can buy a beautiful trailing pot of it for $3. If you live in Oregon or Washington, this is one plant you genuinely should not grow. And if you see it spreading near natural areas, reporting it is one of the most helpful things you can do for local wildlife. If you've ever seen wisteria in full bloom, you know why people plant it. The cascading purple and white flower clusters are absolutely breathtaking. Every spring, photographs of wisteria-draped tunnels and pergolas go viral on social media. And for good reason. It is genuinely one of the most spectacular flowering plants in the world. But behind that beauty is a plant with extraordinary and destructive power. Wisteria vines can grow up to 10 meters in a single season. The woody stems, if left unchecked for years, become thick as tree trunks. They can crack concrete walls, pull apart wooden fences, collapse pergolas under their weight, and strangle trees completely. There are wisteria plants in Japan and China that are more than a century old and cover areas the size of a football field. In the wild, Chinese and Japanese wisteria, both introduced species in the US, have escaped gardens and are now spreading through forests in the eastern United States. They climb native trees, wrap around the trunks, and eventually kill them by girdling, cutting off the flow of water and nutrients under the bark. In parts of Australia and New Zealand, planting wisteria is heavily discouraged and in some regions restricted. In several U.S. states, Asian wisteria species are listed as invasive. Native American wisteria does exist and is a far safer choice if you love the look. But the classic Chinese wisteria you see in most garden centers, plant it in a container. Never let it near a wall, a tree, or a wild space. This is one plant where the beauty is absolutely real, and so is the danger. And our final plant is one that I think deserves a lot more attention than it gets, because the reason it's banned has a direct impact on human health. This is Japanese barberry, a compact, spiky, ornamental shrub with gorgeous red or burgundy foliage that's been a staple of landscaping and garden design for decades. It's in parking lots, shopping centers, residential borders, and public parks across the entire United States. And in New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Minnesota, it is now illegal to sell or plant it. Here's why. Japanese barberry creates the perfect microhabitat for deer ticks, the ticks responsible for spreading Lyme disease. The dense, low-growing thorny branches create a warm, humid environment at ground level that ticks absolutely love. Studies have found that barberry-invaded areas can have Lyme-carrying tick densities up to 12 times higher than similar areas without it. And as Japanese barberry has spread across the northeastern United States, invading forests, roadsides, and parks, Lyme disease rates have climbed with it. Scientists aren't saying barberry causes Lyme disease, but they are saying it creates ideal conditions for the ticks that carry it. New York State banned it in 2023. Pennsylvania followed. More states are expected to pass restrictions in coming years. Meanwhile, it is still being sold openly in garden centers in many of those same states as older stock is gradually phased out. If you live in the northeastern U.S., this is a plant worth removing from your garden, not just for legal reasons, but for the health of your family and your neighborhood. So, did any of those surprise you? I'd love to know in the comments, which plant shocked you the most? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more plant lovers like you. And if you want to keep learning about the surprising, fascinating, and sometimes dangerous world of plants, subscribe right now and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. Next week, we are covering 17 forgotten herbs that your grandparents used, plants that were in every medicine cabinet 100 years ago and have almost completely disappeared from modern life. That one is going to blow your mind. I'll see you there. Happy growing.